In the vast darkness of space where silence reigned supreme, the Kalok ship glided silently through an unexplored star system. Its metallic hull gleamed under distant starlight, carrying a crew of researchers who believed they were on a routine exploration mission. Yunji Rodriguez sat quietly in her family's research station, located on the outer rim of human-controlled space. At 9 years old, she was no ordinary child. Her fingers danced across holographic screens, solving complex mathematical equations that would challenge most advanced computer systems. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, her eyes focused with an intensity that seemed far beyond her years. The station was peaceful that day. Monitoring systems hummed softly, displaying endless streams of astronomical data. Yunji's parents, both respected scientists, were conducting research in a nearby laboratory. Her father, David Kim, specialized in quantum communications, while her mother, Maria Rodriguez, was an expert in xenobiology. Suddenly, a strange energy signature appeared on the station's scanners. Before anyone could react, a massive electromagnetic pulse swept through the research facility. Systems went dark. Emergency lights flickered, casting eerie shadows across the corridors. The Kalok's boarding team moved with practiced precision. Their exoskeletal armor absorbed sound, making their movements nearly invisible. They had studied human behavior for decades, believing they understood every potential scenario, but they had never encountered a child like Yunji. As alarms began to sound, Yunji remained remarkably calm. She recognized the intrusion protocols her parents had taught her. While other children might have panicked, she began a silent communication sequence through her personal communication device, a small quantum transmitter disguised as a simple wristband. The Kalok soldiers found her in a small observation room. They expected resistance, fear, or tears. Instead, they discovered a child who looked at them with curious, analytical eyes. In their language of clicks and mechanical sounds, they discussed her potential value as a research specimen. What they didn't know was that Yunji was transmitting every single one of their communication frequencies back to her parents' emergency network. Each click, each mechanical sound was being recorded, analyzed, and transmitted across human communication channels. The abduction was swift. One moment, Yunji was in the research station. The next, she was inside a containment chamber within the Kalok ship. Her personal device continued sending signals, a digital trail that would become humanity's guiding path. Hours passed. The Kalok's researchers began their preliminary examinations. They took biological samples, conducted neural scans, and attempted to understand this human child. What they saw confused them. Yunji's brain patterns were unlike anything in their extensive database. She watched them, her eyes never showing fear. Instead, they revealed a calculating intelligence that made the alien researchers increasingly uncomfortable. She was studying them just as intently as they were studying her. Little did the Kaloks know that Yunji's transmission had already triggered a response protocol within Earth's defense systems. Every movement of their ship, every piece of data about their technology, was being collected and analyzed. The quantum transmitter in her wristband was more than a communication device. It was a sophisticated tracking and data collection tool, designed by her parents to function in extreme scenarios. Each second that passed sent volumes of information back to human space. As the Kalok ship traveled deeper into unknown regions, believing they had successfully captured a human specimen for research, they remained unaware of the storm brewing behind them. Humanity was preparing a response that would redefine interstellar conflict. Yunji Rodriguez, a 9-year-old girl, had just become the catalyst for what would soon be known as the most significant military mobilization in human history. The BO Global Defense Center in New Geneva looked like a silent beast awakening. Screens flickered with incoming data, revealing the exact location of the Kalok ship that had taken Yunji Rodriguez. Admiral David Kim stood perfectly still, his hands clasped behind his back, watching the holographic displays. Within minutes, the entire human defense network transformed. Factories across Earth, Mars, and lunar colonies began shifting their production. Massive construction platforms that once built commercial spacecraft now retooled for military production. The speed was remarkable. Machines worked with a precision that made human labor look slow. Activate Project Thunderbolt. David Kim's voice was calm but carried a steel-like intensity. Artificial intelligence systems immediately began calculating resource allocation, fleet configuration, and strategic deployment routes. The first wave of supercarrier construction began. Each vessel was not just a weapon, but a complete ecosystem. Quantum fusion reactors powered systems that could sustain thousands of personnel for decades. Advanced AI controlled every aspect of these massive ships, making them more intelligent than any previous military platform. Around the world, families of military personnel received encoded messages. They understood what was happening without needing explanations. This wasn't just a military operation. This was a collective human response to a threat against one of their children. Research facilities that previously developed peaceful technologies now focused on creating weapons of unimaginable complexity. Graviton cannons that could collapse planetary shields, quantum entanglement communication systems that could transmit data faster than light, and adaptive armor that could change molecular structure within milliseconds. Schools and universities suspended normal operations. Scientists, engineers, and technical experts were recalled to support the massive mobilization. Young graduates who had trained in theoretical physics and advanced engineering suddenly found themselves at the heart of humanity's most ambitious military project. The global economy shifted. Stock markets adjusted within hours. Resources were redirected. Countries that once competed now worked with unprecedented cooperation. The kidnapping of Yoonji had done what decades of diplomacy could not: create a truly unified human response. Manufacturing centers in Asia, automated factories in Europe, and advanced production platforms in the Americas worked in perfect synchronization. Every minute, new components for supercarriers were produced, assembled, and prepared for launch. Space elevators, massive structures that connected Earth's surface to orbital platforms, became highways of military production. Massive sections of supercarriers were constructed in zero-gravity environments, allowing for designs that would be impossible under planetary gravitational conditions. Military personnel from every background began training. Genetic enhancement programs, which had been controversial, were now seen as essential. Soldiers were prepared not just physically, but with neural interfaces that could process information at speeds previously unimaginable. Admiral Kim reviewed the initial fleet configuration. 800,000 supercarriers, a number that seemed impossible just days ago. Each carrier was designed to be a self-sufficient unit, capable of independent warfare, with enough technological capability to potentially defeat entire alien civilizations. The quantum data transmitted by Yoonji's simple wristband provided more information than the Calocs could have ever anticipated. Her brief capture had become humanity's most significant intelligence-gathering operation in history. As construction continued, a sense of calm determination spread across human settlements. This wasn't just about rescuing a child. This was about sending a message to the universe. Threatening one human meant confronting an entire species. Orbital tracking systems continued monitoring the Calocs ship's trajectory. Navigation computers calculated intercept routes, weapon deployment strategies, and potential engagement scenarios. Every second counted. The first wave of supercarriers would launch within 72 hours. The universe was about to witness something it had never seen before. A technological and strategic response driven by something more powerful than military might. Humanity's love, protection, and unbreakable spirit were about to become the most formidable weapon in the galaxy. The first supercarrier launched silently, its massive frame blocking out entire sections of the sky. Captain Sung Park stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the navigation screens. Around him, hundreds of crew members moved with practiced efficiency, their movements synchronized like a complex dance. Quantum communication systems hummed softly, connecting the massive fleet through invisible networks of data. Each of the 800,000 supercarriers knew exactly where it needed to be, moving with a precision that defied traditional understanding of space travel. Yoonji's tracking signal continued to pulse. It was more than just a location beacon. It was a lifeline that guided humanity's most significant military operation. The quantum transmitter in her wristband had become the most important piece of technology in human history. Inside the carriers, life continued with remarkable normalcy. Crew members trained, ate, and rested in carefully designed environments. Advanced medical systems monitored their health, genetic enhancements allowing them to withstand the extreme conditions of deep space travel. The fleet moved like a single organism. Where traditional military formations would show gaps and vulnerabilities, these supercarriers created a seamless wall of technological might. Each vessel was equipped with graviton cannons that could theoretically collapse entire planetary shields. Navigation systems calculated multiple potential intercept routes. The Galactic ship didn't know it was being hunted. Its researchers continued their examinations of Yunji, completely unaware of the storm approaching from behind. Captain Park reviewed the mission parameters hourly. The goal was clear: rescue the child, neutralize the threat, and send a message that would echo through the galaxy. This wasn't just a rescue mission. This was a demonstration of human capability. Advanced AI systems processed endless streams of data. They predicted Galactic's movement patterns, calculated potential defensive strategies, and continuously updated mission parameters. The human crew worked alongside these AI, their combined intelligence creating a level of tactical planning never before seen. Deep in the carrier's core, quantum fusion reactors provided seemingly unlimited energy. These were not just power sources, but technological marvels that could sustain the entire fleet for decades if necessary. Each reactor contained more energy than entire planetary systems. Genetic-enhanced soldiers prepared for potential combat. Their neural interfaces allowed them to process information at speeds that made traditional human perception look slow. They were more than just fighters. They were living, breathing, advanced weapon systems. Communications between carriers happened in microseconds. Quantum entanglement allowed instant data transfer across impossible distances. If one carrier detected a potential threat, the entire fleet would know immediately. Yunji's parents monitored the mission from Earth's Global Defense Center. David Kim and Maria Rodriguez watched as their daughter's simple wristband continued to provide critical intelligence. They knew their child was more than just a victim. She was the key to humanity's most significant space operation. The space between stars became a highway of human technological might. Supercarriers moved with a grace that seemed impossible for objects of their massive size. Each vessel was a complete world, containing living spaces, medical facilities, research laboratories, and enough weaponry to defeat multiple alien civilizations. Tracking. Systems continued to follow the Galactic ship. Its researchers remained oblivious to the approaching fleet. They continued their examinations of Yunji, believing they had successfully captured a human specimen for study. Days passed. The fleet moved closer. Each moment brought them nearer to a confrontation that would redefine interstellar relationships. The universe held its breath, waiting for what would come next. Humanity was coming, and they were bringing everything they had. The stars watched in silent anticipation. The first contact happened without a sound. Massive supercarriers surrounded the Galactic's research vessel like silent predators, their quantum shields creating an invisible barrier that no known technology could penetrate. Captain Sung Park's voice cut through the carrier's communication systems. "Initiate first contact protocol," he commanded. Millions of data streams began analyzing every inch of the Galactic ship, mapping its defensive capabilities in milliseconds. Yunji sat in the Galactic's research chamber, completely calm. The alien researchers had no idea that their every movement was being recorded, transmitted, and analyzed by an entire human fleet. Her small wristband continued its silent transmission, a beacon of hope cutting through the darkness of space. The Galactic scientists realized something was wrong when their primary systems began to fail. Quantum interference swept through their ship like a digital tsunami. Navigation controls went dark. Weapon systems became unresponsive. In moments, they were completely paralyzed. No weapons fired. No traditional combat occurred. Instead, humanity demonstrated a level of technological superiority that was both terrifying and precise. The supercarriers didn't destroy, they neutralized. Complex AI systems surgically disabled every Kalok ship system without causing biological harm. Aboard the lead carrier, Admiral David Kim watched the confrontation unfold. His daughter's tracking signal had led them directly to the Kalok's vessel. Each second of the operation was a calculated response to a species that thought it could threaten a human child. Yunji began communicating with the human fleet. Her neural interface, enhanced beyond normal human capabilities, allowed her to interact with the ship's systems. The Kalok's researchers watched in stunned silence as the child they considered a specimen demonstrated technological understanding far beyond their comprehension. Graviton cannons powered down, their massive energy potential held in perfect check. Quantum shields created a perfect containment field around the Kalok ship. It wasn't destruction they wanted. It was complete control. Communication channels opened. The Kalok's leadership received a simple message. Not a threat. Not a declaration of war. Just a clear statement of humanity's intentions. They would be stopped. They would be contained. They would face consequences. Genetic-enhanced soldiers prepared for potential boarding. Their neural interfaces connected to the carrier's advanced AI systems. But no physical intervention was necessary. The technological assault was complete. The Kalok ship became a perfect prisoner. Completely disabled but physically untouched. Humanity demonstrated its ability to neutralize a threat without resorting to total destruction. Yunji walked through the Kalok's research chamber. Her movements were confident. The researchers who had studied her now watched her with a mixture of fear and complete fascination. She was not a victim. She was a message. Admiral David Kim's voice came through the ship's communication systems. Clear, calm, precise. You have violated human space. You have taken a child. These actions will have consequences. The entire confrontation lasted less than 30 minutes. No weapons were fired, no physical combat occurred. It was a demonstration of technological might that redefined the concept of interstellar conflict. Humanity had sent a message. They would protect their own. They would do so with a level of technological sophistication that made traditional warfare look primitive. The Kalok's leadership understood now. They had made a terrible mistake. Yunji looked out into the vastness of space. Her wristband continued its silent transmission. A simple device that had become the most powerful weapon in human history. The stars watched in silent understanding. Humanity had arrived. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent when humanity presented its terms. No weapons were needed. Just a simple data projection showing the complete neutralization of the Kalok's research vessel. President Maria Rodriguez stood at the center, Yunji beside her. The 9-year-old girl looked more like a diplomat than a child who had been kidnapped. Her eyes scanned the alien representatives with a calm that made seasoned negotiators uncomfortable. Your civilization has two choices, Maria said simply. Her voice carried no anger, just absolute certainty. Complete technological disarmament or total isolation from human-controlled space zones. The Kalok's leadership realized they had miscalculated everything. Their sophisticated research team had been completely disabled by a single human child's tracking device. Their most advanced technology looked primitive compared to humanity's quantum systems. Diplomatic channels across multiple star systems began analyzing the confrontation. How could one species respond so quickly? How could they neutralize an entire research vessel without firing a single weapon? The human demonstration was more than a rescue. It was a clear message about technological superiority. Yunji's wristband became a symbol. Scientists studied its design, understanding it was more than a communication device. It represented humanity's ability to turn a potential tragedy into a strategic advantage. The consequences would reshape galactic politics. No species would consider kidnapping a human child again. The message was clear and absolute. Humanity would protect its own with technological capabilities that seemed almost magical to other civilizations. Reparations were demanded. Not in traditional currency, but in technological exchanges and complete transparency of the Kalok's research programs. Every detail of their scientific research would be opened for human review. Military analysts around human settlements celebrated quietly. This wasn't a war. This was a demonstration of defensive capabilities that made traditional conflict obsolete. The Galactic civilization found themselves completely isolated. Their communication networks were blocked, their trade routes were restricted, their scientific communities were cut off from external research collaborations. Admiral David Kim watched the proceedings with quiet satisfaction. The rescue wasn't just about bringing Yunji home. It was about establishing a new understanding of human capabilities. Genetic enhancement programs received massive funding. Neural interface technologies became a primary research focus. Universities around human settlements began developing more advanced communication and defense systems. The global human population responded with unity. This wasn't seen as a military action, but as a collective protective response. Every parent understood the message. Threaten one human child, face an entire species. Yunji became more than a rescued child. She became a symbol of human resilience, technological innovation, and unbreakable family bonds. Scientific institutions wanted to study her unique neural capabilities. Galactic news networks broadcast the confrontation repeatedly. Other alien civilizations studied every moment, understanding that humanity had changed the rules of interstellar interaction. The Galactic research team that originally kidnapped Yunji were put on trial, not by human courts, but by their own civilization. Understanding that their actions had potentially destroyed centuries of carefully built diplomatic relationships. Quantum communication technologies advanced rapidly. What was once a simple tracking device became a blueprint for more sophisticated defense systems. Space exploration received unprecedented support. Humans understood that their technological capabilities could protect them in ways never before imagined. Maria Rodriguez looked at her daughter. Yunji smiled, her small hand still wearing the wristband that had started everything. The universe had learned an important lesson. Humanity would protect its own, no matter the cost, no matter the distance. The stars watched in silent respect. A new era had begun.